On the eve of her younger sister's wedding, Ava never thought she'd be forced to confront the worst kind of betrayal, one that threatens to destroy her family and her future. What happens when the man you love and your sister cross the line, leaving you with nothing but heartbreak and a shattered trust? Watch as Ava's world unravels, revealing the shocking secrets that lie just beneath the surface. Ava had always been the strong one in the family, the rock that everyone leaned on. At 28, she had carved out a successful life for herself, an up-and-coming marketing executive with a promising future. Her career was flourishing, and on the surface everything seemed perfect. But beneath the surface, Ava struggled with a quiet feeling of discontent, an unease that she couldn't shake. Maya, her younger sister, was the complete opposite. At 24, Maya was an artist, living life with the kind of carefree abandon that Ava admired but could never quite embrace. Maya's world was one of spontaneity, and she had always leaned on Ava for guidance, especially when it came to her relationships. Their bond, although sometimes strained by their differences, was a deep one. Ava had always supported Maya's dreams, even if they seemed impractical, and had been her biggest cheerleader as Maya announced her engagement to Noah, the man who had once swept Ava off her feet, and the man now set to marry her sister. At first, it had seemed like the perfect match. Noah was everything Ava had ever hoped for: charming, intelligent, kind, and most importantly, he made Maya happy. Ava had no reason to doubt him, but as the wedding day drew closer, something felt off. It started with small things. Ava began to notice how Noah would linger a little too long in conversation with Maya, or how their casual touches would last just a moment longer than usual. At first, she dismissed it as nothing more than her own insecurities. After all, she was the older sister, the one who had always been in control of her emotions, so why was she suddenly feeling jealous? But deep down, a nagging voice inside her kept growing louder. Was it just her imagination, or was there something more to their interactions? Ava tried to push the thoughts away, telling herself that this was Maya's big moment, and that she should focus on being the supportive sister. But as the days passed and the wedding approached, the unease grew. Ava couldn't ignore the tight knot forming in her stomach. She had seen it before. When something was wrong in her life, her instincts always told her before anything happened. And this felt wrong. The first real sign that something wasn't right came during Maya's bridal shower. The room was filled with laughter, gifts, and the typical pre-wedding excitement, but Ava couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. As Maya opened each gift with enthusiasm, her eyes occasionally flicked toward Noah, and Ava noticed the way Noah looked at her sister. Something more than admiration, something deeper, like a shared secret. Ava tried to ignore it, tried to tell herself that it was just the excitement of the day. But it wasn't just the way Noah looked at Maya, it was the way Maya responded to him. There was a spark in her eyes that wasn't just the glow of a bride-to-be. It was an intimacy, a familiarity, that was unmistakable. She leaned in closer than necessary, her hand brushing against his as they exchanged quiet jokes, as if they were a couple already. It made Ava feel like an outsider in her own family. Later, during the cocktail hour, Ava found herself standing on the balcony, sipping her drink, trying to process what she had seen. She caught a glimpse of Maya and Noah on the dance floor, sharing a private laugh. Noah's hand was placed just a little too low on Maya's back, his touch lingering just a moment longer than it should have. Ava's heart raced, and a cold chill ran through her. It was as if a switch had been flipped, and everything she thought she knew about her sister and her fiancé was suddenly under question. She couldn't help but wonder, was she overreacting, or was there something more? The thought haunted her all through the night, refusing to let her enjoy the celebration. Maya had always been close to Noah, but this was different. The chemistry between them was palpable, and for the first time Ava felt like she was the third wheel in her own life, watching her sister and her boyfriend share a bond that seemed to run deeper than she had ever known. When the evening ended, Ava tried to talk herself down, convincing herself that it was just the excitement of the wedding and the pre-nuptial jitters. But deep inside, a small voice whispered, "Don't ignore this." As the days leading up to the wedding passed, Ava found herself increasingly distracted by her growing suspicions. The subtle moments she'd observed between Noah and Maya were no longer something she could ignore. They had become a constant, gnawing presence in the back of her mind. Every time she saw them together, she could feel the tension in the air, like an electric charge crackling just beneath the surface. At family dinners, the once comfortable conversations now felt strained. Noah would smile at Maya with an intimacy that left Ava cold. There was a shared understanding between them that she wasn't a part of. Ava, always the attentive sister, began to notice how their interactions had changed in the months leading up to the wedding. Their once casual conversations now seemed loaded with meaning, with Noah laughing a little too easily at Maya's jokes, lingering a moment too long when their hands brushed. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was watching something unfold, something she wasn't meant to see. The line between what was acceptable and what was crossing into something more than friendship seemed to blur with each passing day. She began to notice Noah's glances toward Maya that held a level of warmth and familiarity, things that were supposed to be reserved for a relationship already deep in love. As the wedding rehearsal approached, Ava began feeling more like a third wheel than a proud sister. It was like Noah and Maya had created a world for themselves, one that didn't include her. At one point during the rehearsal dinner, she caught Noah glancing at Maya, his eyes softening in a way that made Ava's stomach churn. Maya noticed her gaze and quickly turned her attention to something else, but the damage had already been done. Ava was no longer sure if she could trust her own sister, let alone the man she was about to call family. Ava couldn't take it any longer. The doubts that had once seemed so trivial now consumed her. Every small moment between Maya and Noah felt like a brush of betrayal, and Ava found herself torn between confronting her sister and protecting the sanctity of the wedding. But the longer she held back, the more suffocating the silence became. The night before the wedding, Ava reached her breaking point. Her mind was in turmoil, her body wound tight with anxiety. She had spent days replaying every interaction, every look, every touch, trying to make sense of what was happening. But now she couldn't stay silent any longer. Something had to give. She found Noah alone in the quiet living room, sitting with a glass of wine, staring out the window as though lost in thought. Ava walked in, her heart pounding in her chest. She had to know the truth, no matter how much it might hurt. "Noah," Ava began, her voice surprisingly steady despite the storm brewing inside her. "We need to talk." Noah turned, a faint smile on his lips, but when he saw the seriousness in her eyes, it faded. "What's wrong, Ava?" he asked, leaning forward slightly, clearly concerned. Ava took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. "I've been watching you and Maya, and I can't ignore it anymore. Are you two involved?" Noah's eyes widened, and for a moment Ava thought he might deny it, that he might brush it off like it was nothing. But then he didn't. His expression darkened, and Ava could see the guilt in his eyes, the same guilt that had been eating away at her. "It's not what you think, Ava," Noah said quietly, his voice a mix of regret and frustration. "It wasn't supposed to happen this way." Ava's breath caught in her throat. "How long?" she demanded, her voice shaking now with anger. "How long has this been going on?" Noah looked away, unable to meet her eyes. "A few months," he admitted reluctantly, his voice barely a whisper. Ava felt the world tilt beneath her feet. "A few months? You've been seeing my sister behind my back for months?" She took a step back, the full weight of the betrayal hitting her like a punch to the gut. She had trusted Noah, trusted him with everything. And now not only had he been unfaithful, but he had done it with the one person she should have been able to trust the most, her own sister. Noah reached for her, his face full of regret. "Ava, I never meant for it to happen. It's complicated. Maya and we've been through a lot together." But Ava couldn't hear it. She felt her heart break all over again as she realized that the bond she had once shared with Noah and Maya had been shattered beyond repair. The sister she had protected, the man she had called family, they had both betrayed her in the worst way imaginable. "You don't get to explain this away," Ava spat, her voice sharp with hurt. "I trusted you both, and you ruined everything." Without another word, Ava turned on her heel and walked away, leaving Noah standing in the living room, his guilt hanging heavy in the air. The wedding was only hours away, but Ava knew she couldn't be a part of it anymore. Everything had changed. Nothing would ever be the same again. Ava couldn't sleep that night. The reality of what had just happened, the confession from Noah, the betrayal by her sister, kept spinning in her mind like a bad dream. She stared at the ceiling, the hours ticking by, until the first light of dawn began to creep through the blinds. The wedding was only hours away. It was supposed to be a day of celebration, a day where her sister would walk down the aisle and begin the next chapter of her life. But for Ava, it felt like the world was collapsing around her. She tried to push the thoughts away, tried to convince herself that maybe she was overreacting. But deep down, she knew she couldn't ignore the truth anymore. The truth that her sister had been lying to her all along, that Noah had been lying to both of them. The foundation of their relationship had been shattered in an instant, and nothing could fix it now. Ava's mind raced. She couldn't face the wedding, couldn't pretend everything was fine when it wasn't. She thought about calling Maya, confronting her right there, but she knew it wouldn't change anything. The damage had already been done. The trust had been broken, and once it was gone, it could never be rebuilt. Her phone buzzed beside her. It was a message from Maya, asking if she was ready for the big day, sending love and excitement. Ava's finger hovered over the screen, the message burning her eyes. How could Maya be so naive, so unaware of the storm that had just torn their world apart? How could she not see the hurt in Ava's heart, the betrayal that ran deeper than anything words could fix? Ava sank back into the pillows, tears streaming down her face. She didn't know how to fix this. She didn't even know where to begin. Her sister was about to marry a man who had betrayed her, and Ava was about to lose her family, both Noah and Maya. The emotional toll was unbearable. She felt like a stranger in her own skin, disconnected from the life she had once thought was solid, unshakable. And now it was all slipping through her fingers. By the time Ava had gathered herself, the day was well underway. She forced herself to get dressed, to show up, but every step felt like walking through a fog. The reality was setting in. Nothing would be the same. Not for her, not for Maya, and certainly not for Noah. The wedding was a blur. Ava stood by the side, trying to remain composed, to mask the hurt that was eating her from the inside out. The dress, the flowers, the laughter, it all felt like a distant memory. She watched as Maya glided down the aisle, the soft smile on her face, the glow of a bride so blissfully unaware of the storm brewing in her sister's heart. Ava's heart ached as she took in the sight of Maya. How could her sister be so innocent, so unaware of the pain that Ava was carrying? And how could Maya be so blind to the fact that Noah wasn't the man he had seemed to be? Ava fought the urge to pull her aside, to tell her everything, to make her understand that this was no fairy tale. But there was a weight in her chest, a pressure that kept her from acting on impulse. As the ceremony continued, Ava felt like an outsider, standing on the edge of her sister's most important moment. The vows were exchanged, the promises were made, and the guests clapped with joy. But Ava's mind was elsewhere, her thoughts consumed by the confrontation that was still to come. She couldn't let Maya walk into this marriage with eyes closed to the truth. She had to tell her. She had to make her understand what was happening, even if it meant destroying everything. The reception followed, and Ava found Maya alone for a brief moment. The laughter of the guests echoed around them, but in that small space, the weight of their unspoken words hung in the air. "Maya," Ava began, her voice shaking despite her best efforts to stay calm. "We need to talk." Maya turned to her, the smile fading slightly when she saw the intensity in Ava's eyes. "What's wrong, Ava? You're not acting like yourself." Ava took a deep breath, forcing herself to hold back the flood of emotions threatening to overwhelm her. "I know about you and Noah," she said quietly, her words hitting like a slap to the face. "I know what's been happening between you two." Maya blinked, her face draining of color. "What are you talking about?" Her voice trembled, clearly caught off guard. "I saw it, Maya," Ava continued, each word a heavy weight. "I saw the way he looks at you, the way you look at him. I know you've been hiding something from me. How long, Maya? How long has this been going on?" Maya took a step back, her eyes widening in shock and confusion. "No, Ava, you're wrong. It's not what you think. Noah and I—" "Don't lie to me," Ava interrupted, her voice sharp. "I saw the way you two were acting around each other. I saw the way you've been sneaking around behind my back. You've been lying to me, Maya, and you've been lying to Noah, too. This isn't just some mistake. This is betrayal." Maya's face crumpled, and for the first time, Ava saw the cracks in her sister's perfect image. "I never meant for it to happen, Ava," Maya whispered, tears starting to well up in her eyes. It just did." Ava's heart broke all over again. She had always protected Maya, always tried to shield her from the mistakes that Ava herself had made in the past. But this was too much. "You're marrying him, Maya. You're about to marry a man who's been with you behind my back while pretending to love me. This is not the future you deserve." The silence between them stretched long, and in that moment, Ava realized there was nothing she could say to make Maya understand. The damage was done, and no matter what happened next, their relationship would never be the same. Maya stood there, staring at Ava as if the world had just tilted off its axis. Her face was a mixture of shock and confusion, tears welling up in her eyes. But there was something else, too, something defensive, almost as if she were trying to protect herself from the truth. Ava's words hung heavy in the air, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. "I don't understand, Ava," Maya whispered, her voice trembling. "You're wrong. You have to be wrong. There's nothing going on between Noah and me. It's just a misunderstanding." Ava's heart shattered as she looked at her sister. How could Maya not see it? How could she stand there and deny everything Ava had seen, everything that had been so painfully obvious? Ava had spent so many years looking out for Maya, and now it felt like the world was unraveling in front of her. The weight of Maya's denial was suffocating. Ava wanted to scream, to shake her sister awake, but the words stuck in her throat. She had always wanted to protect Maya, but now it felt like there was nothing left to protect. "You're really going to marry him, Maya?" Ava asked, her voice barely above a whisper but full of hurt. "After everything I've told you?" Maya's lips quivered as she shook her head, her eyes wide with disbelief. "Ava, I love him. I don't know what you saw, but I love him. He loves me. This is my wedding day. Why are you doing this?" It was in that moment that Ava realized Maya would never see it. The truth, the betrayal, none of it would register in her sister's mind, not now. She was blinded by love, by the fantasy of what this day was supposed to be. Maya had built a world in which Noah was the perfect man, and no matter how much evidence was in front of her, she couldn't bring herself to face the reality that he wasn't. Ava's heart broke, but she knew there was only one thing left to do. She couldn't be a part of this, not in good conscience. "I can't let you do this," Ava said, her voice trembling but resolute. "I can't be here, pretending everything's okay when I know the truth. I'm leaving, Maya. I won't watch you make this mistake." Maya's face fell, the realization of what Ava was saying hitting her like a freight train. "Ava, no, please!" She began, her voice cracking, but Ava couldn't stay. She turned, walking away, her steps heavy with the weight of what she was about to do. As she left the venue, the sounds of the wedding continued behind her. The music, the laughter, the joy. It all felt so distant now. Ava's stomach churned with grief, regret, and anger. She had tried to protect Maya, but in the end, Maya had chosen the man who had betrayed both of them. And now, Ava was forced to step away. She couldn't watch her sister marry a man who had already broken both of their hearts. It wasn't until later that night, when the reception had ended, that Ava's world took its most shocking turn yet. She had gone to a nearby cafe to collect her thoughts, to process the emotional wreckage she'd just witnessed. She sat in the dimly lit corner of the cafe, nursing a cup of coffee, her mind replaying everything. Her confrontation with Noah, her attempt to get through to Maya, her final decision to walk away. She could still hear the echoes of Maya's voice, pleading with her to stay, to be there for her on this day. But Ava knew it was over. There was no going back. As she sat there trying to gather the shattered pieces of her heart, her phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number, a number she didn't recognize. Ava stared at the screen, hesitant, before opening it. The message was brief, chilling in its simplicity. "I know you think you've lost everything, but you need to hear the truth. Noah's not who you think he is. He's been playing you both. He's been with someone else, someone much closer than you realize." Ava froze, the cup of coffee forgotten in her hands. Who was this person? What were they talking about? The words danced before her eyes, each sentence sending a ripple of dread through her body. She quickly typed a reply. "What do you mean? What do you know about Noah?" The response came almost immediately. "I've seen him with another woman, someone from your past. Someone close to both of you. It's been going on for months. You deserve to know the truth." Ava's mind raced. Another woman? Who? Could it be someone from her past? The more she thought about it, the more her heart pounded with a sickening sense of dread. Who else could Noah be seeing? Was this the final layer of betrayal? She typed again, her hands trembling. "Who is she?" The response that followed shattered everything she thought she knew. "It's your best friend, Lily." Ava's breath caught in her throat. Lily, her best friend. The woman who had been by her side through everything. The one she had confided in, the one she had trusted more than anyone. Lily had been the one to help Ava through her hardest moments, the one who had been there for her when she needed someone to lean on. And now she was the one involved with Noah. The man who was about to marry her sister? The betrayal was unfathomable. Ava sat there in stunned silence, the weight of the revelation crashing down on her like a ton of bricks. This wasn't just about Noah and Maya anymore. It was about everything Ava had known, everything she had trusted, being shattered in a single instant. As the realization settled in, Ava felt something cold and hard replace the grief in her heart. She had been betrayed by the people she loved most, and now she knew the truth. It was worse than she had ever imagined. Ava couldn't sit on this revelation for long. The weight of it was unbearable, and her heart burned with both rage and hurt. Lily, her best friend, the person she had trusted above all others, had been hiding a dark secret. She had been involved with Noah, the man Ava had believed would be the one to make her sister happy, the man who had been lying to them both. The betrayal cut deeper than anything Ava could have imagined. She knew she couldn't wait any longer. Lily had to know that Ava knew. There would be no more hiding. The truth had to come out. Ava sent Lily a message, her hands shaking as she typed, "I know about you and Noah. Meet me at the park in 20 minutes." She didn't wait for a response. Ava knew that no matter what, Lily had to hear it from her. She didn't want to give her best friend any chance to lie, to try and explain it away. Ava was done with the games, done with the lies. When Ava arrived at the park, Lily was already waiting, pacing nervously by the fountain. The tension between them was palpable, as if the air itself had thickened with the weight of the confrontation. Ava's eyes locked onto Lily's, and for a brief moment, Lily's face flickered with guilt. She knew. She knew what was coming. "Ava, Lily started, but Ava cut her off, her voice cold, sharp with pain. Don't even try to explain it," Ava snapped. "I know everything, about you and Noah, about what you've been doing behind my back." Lily's face paled, and for a moment she looked like a deer caught in headlights. "Ava, I never meant for it to happen. It just happened?" Ava interrupted, her voice rising now, the hurt spilling out. "You've been lying to me, Lily. You've been with him for months, betraying me, betraying my sister. You let me trust you, and you let me believe you were my friend." Tears welled up in Lily's eyes as she took a step back, clearly overwhelmed by the guilt. "I'm so sorry, Ava. I never wanted to hurt you. I didn't think it would go this far. But Noah, he made me feel things I didn't understand. And I know I've messed everything up." Ava shook her head, the disbelief still coursing through her. "You've messed everything up? You've broken everything we had, Lily, and I can't forgive you for that. You didn't just hurt me. You hurt my sister. You've destroyed the one thing that was supposed to matter most." Lily's voice cracked as she took a step forward, but Ava held up her hand to stop her. She couldn't bear to hear any more excuses. She had given Lily everything, and now there was nothing left to say. "You can't take it back, Lily," Ava whispered, her voice breaking with emotion. "You've lost me. You've lost our friendship, and now I have to let go of you." With that, Ava turned and walked away, leaving her best friend standing there in the park, her tears falling silently. Ava's heart felt hollow as she walked back to her car. The pain of losing both Noah and Lily in a single moment was something she couldn't fully comprehend. But there was no going back. The truth had come out, and the price had been her trust, her faith in the people she had once called family. The days following the confrontation with Lily were a blur. Ava moved through life as if on autopilot, her heart still reeling from the betrayal she had uncovered. Maya, of course, had no idea that the truth about Noah and Lily had come to light. Ava had made the painful decision to cut ties with her sister as well. She couldn't pretend that nothing had happened. She couldn't stand by and watch her sister marry a man who had already torn their world apart. Ava took some time away from her family and friends, retreating to a quiet cabin in the mountains, far away from the chaos and the heartbreak. It was there, alone with her thoughts, that Ava began to heal, slowly but surely. The days were filled with long walks, journaling, and hours spent thinking about what had happened and what was next. She was no longer the same person who had been caught in the whirlwind of her sister's wedding plans. She had changed, and so had her entire world. As she sat on the porch of the cabin one evening, watching the sun set behind the mountains, Ava realized something. She had spent so long giving her heart to the wrong people, people who didn't deserve it. But now, she was reclaiming her life. She was learning to trust herself again, to trust her instincts, and to finally put herself first. Ava didn't know what the future held, but she knew she was strong enough to face it. She had been broken, but she was no longer defined by the pain. The betrayals, the lies, Those were chapters in her story, but they weren't the end. And so, as Ava sat there, the cool mountain breeze brushing through her hair, she made a promise to herself. She would build a new life, one where trust, love, and honesty were at the center. She wouldn't let the past define her. She would move forward, stronger than before. With that, Ava stood up, took a deep breath, and stepped into the future. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more gripping stories. Stay tuned for the next chapter. Until then, take care.